Alright. What's really going on? Bitcoin, cryptocurrency today. Going to be taking a look at Litecoin against USDT. Going to be taking a look at some of the key technical aspects of price action moving forward. Going to be assessing some of these key levels here. I believe we're going to be interacting with as support or resistance. Going to be assessing where price action is moving as we're coming out of this, kind of aggressive sell-off and rejection from resistance around $403 there. We have swing highs of like 412, but ultimately we got rejected kind of just below $400, and now we're seeing levels at the kind of $300 range. And so will we hold or will we kind of fall? Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know what you're doing with your Litecoin. Do you trading Litecoin? Do you hold Litecoin? What is your kind of strategy moving forward? Are you more of a aggressive trader that scalps the market, or are you more of a holder that hodls through all this ridiculous sideways and gets the long-term trend? Now, jumping right into it, going to be assessing this key kind of price action moving forward and how prices have been interacting with this ascending trend line since the beginning or the end of October there, kind of in 2020. And so we have interaction kind of upward and along it. Every time we come out of it, we kind of like found support eventually until breaking down finally in the kind of end of March of 2021. We broke downward, found support around $187 or $178. My apologies. We came up, broke above it. In the beginning of April 2021, found resistance, came down yet again within April, shortly after, before the end of April there, on the 20th. We came down, found support around $222, recovered again, healthy retracement, created a higher high past that 333 kind of resistance there. Created some new price action between kind of 412 and above 336 in my zone of kind of support here, until ultimately printing a kind of lower high wick on the kind of 12th of May and kind of breaking downward, correlating as well with some fundamental news that was released that day. In addition to that, prices were at resistance, and so a pullback after a pump, kind of like after say from the kind of end of April there to the beginning of kind of May, like middle-ish of May. That's kind of just a more than sort of 2-week period. We had 87 or 82% increase, and so that was a key kind of take profit area for probably many traders. And so after an uptrend like that, I do believe a retracement or pullback was kind of necessary to continue the uptrend. And so I believe at this kind of very moment, as we kind of find support within this range between kind of 335 and 302, if price action were to consolidate in this zone or above it, that would be ultimately more short-term bullish, and we could very much continue upward and print some higher highs there. And the uptrend does seem to kind of want to continue. Although, if we were to fail to hold within this kind of zone here, I do believe that we could interact with some lower levels and perhaps come back down to a key range of support around the $200 level is kind of my midterm kind of bearish target there. And so far we do seem to be still in an uptrend, and the long term for Litecoin does seem to be bullish. And so this kind of pullback at the moment does not seem to be too aggressive yet compared to the kind of previous retracement that occurred over kind of the longer period of time. And so I mean, it's only been technically this is a 3-day time span from that swing high back in on the 10th there to the 13th. We've had a 29% kind of correction and pullback, and so from the swing high back in the 17th of April to kind of the 23rd of April, 25th area there, that's just over a week. We had a 37% correction. And so, I mean, this correction could very much continue. We continue to see kind of, prices trade downward and kind of more sideways. Although, I do believe like we can find support kind of quite soon here and continue upward, perhaps interact with this kind of ascending trend line again as resistance, and then that could ultimately break us downward, and we'd have to kind of reassess the trend from there. But Litecoin is still looking quite bullish in my opinion, although this is going to be a retracement that might have to take a few days to play out. We consider EngineeringRobo along with these Fibba Lamborghini lines. We can see kind of new perspective coming out here, and so realistically, we have super buy 4 moon all coming into play. So even during this aggressive candle close, as it opened around 377 there and then closed at 310. EngineeringRobo is still bullish. So ultimately, today's candle has not closed yet, and so price action is still to be determined. And so when we consider the fear and greed index, along with EngineeringRobo's buy 2, we can see the buy 2 printing with the super buy Although we do have this sell to printing with this candle close here. So we do have this buy for moon and super buy present, but this sell to does suggest perhaps some continued sideways. And so, I mean, we could very well stay in this kind of range, I believe, perhaps under this 0.786 Fibba Zucchini line around $330 per Litecoin, and then perhaps hopefully above my range around $300. If not, we could see a more short-term bearish target around the 0.618 line, $264. And so that does seem to be a key zone that price action could be quite volatile in for a period of time. Some short-term bullish consolidation would be above $300 and hopefully above kind of 330 or 335 there to interact with the kind of bottom of this ascending trend line yet again. But this sell to does suggest some sort of like midterm correction that could play out. We have the FOMO zone all the way up there at $444 at the moment, like kind of 440-ish level. And so I do believe price action is going to be interacting with the FOMO zone quite, perhaps not quite soon as it seems, as price action just seemed to be trading sideways. As after these pumps, we have a periods of days that could trade sideways. 10 to 20 days perhaps. Even in this case, we have an example of like over 30 to 40 days of sideways before some kind of higher highs. And so realistically, Litecoin does like to take its time to get upward, but I do believe we are still in an uptrend. Now, if we consider the price of Litecoin against Bitcoin itself, after Bitcoin still in the middle of its episode, we have what appears to be some still relatively bullish price action here, and prices are seen to be holding against the volatility that is Bitcoin, as it was doing the bed quite hard. And we were at resistance, at my resistance line there, 67.02 Satoshi, and so I mean, a break downward from resistance is not surprising, and this retracement is not very is still a higher low compared to on the 8th there. And so I mean, realistically, I do suspect price action do actually come down to this 562 kind of level there. Perhaps we can find support above that, although price action could very well trade within this range as Bitcoin decides where it wants to go, as perhaps like the new traders in the market recover from kind of what has recently just occurred. And so we consider EngineeringRobo along with the Fibba Zucchini, Fibba Illuminati, Fibba playing Yahtzee lines. We have price action correlating nicely with the 0.5, 0.382, and the 0.236 lines. So we have the 0.5 line correlating with 56.68 Satoshi. And so, I mean, that does seem to be a key level of support that we could very much come down to if we start to close under the 0.382 line at a 62.40 Satoshi level there. We are currently below it at the current moment, but today's candle is not closed yet, so price action is still to be determined. I have my resistance line there, 67.03 level, and the 0.236 line is around the 69.51 Satoshi level. And so, price action closing above 67.01 does seem to be will be like way more short-term bullish, or like long-term bullish rather, if we were to recover very quickly off that 0.382 and start seeing prices interacting with higher highs. Then Litecoin is sure to continue, although I do suspect some kind of prolonged correction to occur over the coming kind of couple weeks. We still have cloud buy for and moon, and price action closing above the 200 daily moving average. And so, I mean, we're still looking bullish against Bitcoin. And so, I mean, this correction, like I said, could play out over the coming weeks. But, the uptrend is likely to continue, in my opinion. If we consider Bitcoin itself, when we look at what good old BTC is really doing, we have some really aggressive, ridiculous price action here, and a pattern playing out that I've been, suggesting for a while now. Although Bitcoin was looking so bullish, and like I'm still bullish on Bitcoin long term, and the short term we were looking like we were recovering very nicely. And so, but from a technical perspective, there was still a chance that we could very well break downward. And so, I mean, this resistance above 57.5 there, and there's a big slapping zone around just under 60K and above 58.7. And so, I mean, prices failed to close above my resistance line around 57.6, and so I mean, a break downward was not surprising, and so we came down to the lower zone of kicking, slapping, and punching, beating, and shoving to find support along just above 49K and under 50K. And so I mean, daily candles closing within this zone is very short-term bullish in my opinion, and this was a very decent buy zone, or like very great bullish zone here where prices recovered very nicely as soon as they kind of interacted with it. And so, I mean, we could very well have a very volatile recovery upward, just as much as this kind of came down. And so, although I do think this is a shock for the kind of new traders in the crypto market, and this could take some time to play out, and we could perhaps see some lower price action in the kind of high 40s zone. And so we have these Fibba Lamborghini lines around the 0.786 is $51,784. We have the 0.618 around the 51 kind of level there, or the 41,000 level there. That's the 0.618 line. And so I mean that is a very kind of midterm bearish target, and that would be a lower low relative to a wick downward in the end of February of 2021. And so that would be that would require a new assessment of kind of price action moving forward. Although we are still looking quite bullish long term, and so this W pattern ish that I was portraying, that was price action was coming up sideways, a break downward, a retest upward, and a continuation downward. I don't believe is likely to play out, but this is a possibility. You got to go with the flow of the market, as you never know. Although I'm still quite bullish on Bitcoin, and always will be. And so I mean this W pattern is what I kind of see is more likely to kind of play out. And so I mean hopefully that is the case, but those are kind of my two POVs moving forward. Thank you for hearing my analysis. Thank you for tuning in. What are you doing with your Litecoin? Did you sell as soon as the news came out, or did you hold through the whole thing? Are you buying more right now? What are you doing with your Bitcoin? What is you doing with your bag if you have one? Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for tuning in. Check out EngineeringRobo free with link in the description, and tune into the next one.